Hi, this is Trev and welcome to my blog. Years ago, the old cars with the chrome bumpers, of course it was the paintwork that used to fade. So you used to T-cut and wax polish the faded paintwork to enhance the look of the car. This is a 2003 model, and of course what happens now is the plastic bumpers fade and the paintwork still looks pretty good. Unless it's a solid red colour or something, then they normally don't oxidise. Talking about oxidisation, that's exactly what's happened to this bumper. So the oxygen and the UV rays have broken down the surface of this plastic and caused it to sort of take on a faded, patchy, light grey, whereas it should in fact be quite a dark grey colour, and it really dates and ages the look of the bumpers. And you could use something like a bumper dressing, probably silicone based, something like that. Of course you apply it, and then as soon as it rains, a few days go past, or just starts washing off and looking quite faded again. So many years ago I was chatting to an old valeter and he showed me this trick, and I'm passing that trick on to you guys. So it's pretty straightforward, very quick to do. Few precautions first before you actually do it. It's worth making some kind of heat shield, whether you go to the trouble of masking around the paint edges or something like that, or using some cardboard, or you just hold a piece of cardboard, which is probably what I'll do in this video, because we're going to use some heat, and the heat of course could bubble up the paintwork, melt the lights, etc. So these are the precautions I just build in. Got a piece of cardboard so I can get this to go underneath that bumper, wheel arch, whatever you will going to restore, and that'll just keep the heat off the paintwork. Alternatively, you can use something like this extra wide car body filler spreader, and it's just basically a hot air gun, so nothing special about this, just a hot air gun, and you'll see a miraculous change. So I just do this little patch here and give you the general pattern that I use. So I'm going to kind of overlap it half, a little bit like you were spraying a car, so you just sort of do that overlapping effect. So I just go from left to right and then from top to bottom afterwards, because you tend to miss little bits if you just go one way. That's it. You'll see that as soon as I went over the hot again, it's quite shiny, because all we're essentially doing is melting the surface of the plastic, and that is what's actually creating this change that you can see. You see that this looks drastically different now from the areas that I haven't done, and I'll just continue to do the rest of the bumper. And then there's one little last thing I can show you, just to try and keep this in tip-top order afterwards. So hopefully you can see a massive improvement there. One last trick I'll show you before I go. Go and get yourself some coconut oil. It's environmentally friendly, and that's better for you and your family. Just get a little bit of coconut oil like that on an old piece of cloth and wipe it on. And what this will do is it will act as a bit of a conditioner for the plastic, and it will also seal off the surface of the plastic stopping it from oxidizing as fast. I've used this hot air gun treatment on plastic before, not done anything else to it, and kind of 6 months later it's still looking pretty good, although it's just starting to fade again. But if you put some coconut oil on it like that, now you can just put it on and leave it, or you can put it on, get it all over the bumpers, go all the way around the car, and then just get a dry cloth afterwards and just kind of lightly buff the excess off. And like I said, that acts as quite a good dressing for the bumper, which also stops it from oxidizing again. Seems to work quite well, never had a problem. So what can I say that's negative about this? People have come to me in the past and said, if you're going to heat plastic like that, then it's going to become more brittle. I think that's a little bit subjective. I don't know if anybody sort of remembers the old Rover 600, I think it was, back in the 1990s. Made the door cards out of plastic that looked exactly the same as this, and you were a very, very lucky person if you were able to remove that door card without it falling apart in your hands, like literally just splitting open. And that was brand new plastic in its day. And I think what kind of happens is people do a process like this. They heat the plastic up and then they bend it and it breaks. It probably would have broken anyway, but then they sort of think, well, it's because I heated it up it's broken. So that's what I mean by it's a bit of a subjective thing, really. I mean, this is extremely pliable plastic. This isn't going to break on this particular bumper, and there are many different plastics involved in vehicle manufacture. Yeah, sort of reminds me a little bit of like being in the motor trade, you know, talking about heating it up and then it snapping afterwards. It's a little bit like when you repair a car, isn't it? And if you've been in the motor trade, that is, you service a car and they say, ever since you service a car, there's a funny knocking noise coming from somewhere, and the implication is, of course, that it's your fault and they're going to get their car repaired for nothing the next time round. Anyway, I don't really know how this process works. To sort of hazard a guess, I would say that it melts the surface of the plastic and that absorbs that extremely fine layer of oxidization back into the plastic surface, kind of disguising it under molten plastic. That's my best guess at what it does. You could add some comments in the comment section. I know there's a lot of keen scientists out there, but this one's over to you guys. My name's Paul and this is Between Y'all. So anyway, until next time, I'll say bye for now.